Hello everybody, we are working on Artemis 10 today. It is a Windows 10 machine that's using Acronis True Image 2020. We need to install our agent on this machine. It is backing up to itself, which will mean that this is going to be a warehouse server. It will also be a managed server. A warehouse server could just be a repository. It may not even have its own backups. However, a managed server is creating backup files of some sort that may be stored on itself or remotely on another machine. And in this case, it's doing both. So you'll see as we set this up, it's going to have both or be listed in both our managed servers and our warehouse server list. I'm signing in as the admin for our MSP. And when I do this, I'm going to connect to the web portal with my credentials. And you can see I've connected. I have some information about the machine. And I'm just going to register this thing. I should get a success. And we have registered this warehouse server now. So if I come in and I go and I refresh this list, you will see Artemis 10 on here. We've got our yield sign indicating it's a brand new server. It will turn green at some point in the near future, and we'll check back on that in a little bit. In the meantime, let's create the same server name as a managed server. Again, this tells the program that, hey, that you should be getting backups on this server. I need to refresh this page. You should be getting backups on this for this particular server. So I had to refresh that page because it was loaded before I had created the warehouse server. This Artemis 10 goes to Artemis Company. It's both active billable. I create this thing. It shows up in the list, and we're doing great so far, folks. We do have a problem though. We do not have this program in our system. Carbonite, I don't see an Acronis. So let's get started with that. I got a little ahead of myself here. Let's see what kind of extension this is. The program is creating these TIBX files, a file extension. Because of the way I named the program, and the fact that it's only backing up a C drive in this scenario, I went ahead and set it up so it would create the _C_ as part of the name. That's going to allow me to extract that C volume out of the file name and associate that with being the C volume, which you can't always do, but when you can, it's nice. It gives a little more detail of what exactly your backups are of. And so first, get started by creating TIBX. Everything for this program is getting dropped right into the root folder, so we will not need to recursively search that. Let's get started here. TIBX. We don't have this program in our system yet, so we'll create this extension, and now we can create the program. So I'm just going to go to the designer again. I'm going to open up the programs, and I'm going to name this exactly what they named it, which is Acronis True Image 2020. And the extension that we have was this TIBX. We do not need to recursively search as mentioned before. And boom, look at that. We've got a new program in here. And now that we have a program in place, we can create a filter and extract the C volume name. So let's do that. I'm going to come back here. The filter is really just filtering through the name. It's using regular expressions. If you're familiar with those. If you're not, tons of information on the internet on regular expressions, how to create them, and Velocity Support's happy to try to help you out. So let's create the filter. I'm going to drop just one of these file names here. That's going to load it up in the top. That gives me the opportunity to test my regular expressions and make sure that they're matching the way I think they are. So I like keeping things very consistent, so I'm going to name this filter Acronis True Image 2020 filter. And the program I tie it to is the one we just created. I really am most interested in this C volume. I don't see where there's a backup set, maybe a set member number. We could extract this. It's not going to do us a whole lot of good, frankly. So I'm really going to concentrate on the C volume. I may just do this as an exercise in a demonstration for you, so you get a handle of, hopefully a handle of the idea how this works. And so when we create a filter, it's going to begin matching this file name from left to right. And if we get a match, so for example, if we match Artemis on group A, When group B starts its matching, it's going to start from the next character. And if this is where we ended our match in group B, group C would begin at the next point. And so we're going to try to extract the volume name. And the volume name, I set this up with these underscores to make it easy. This is nice when you have new backups to set up and you can think this through ahead of time, which I did here. It may not always be the case for you. Stagecraft comes with a pretty good default naming convention. It makes it easy to pick all this stuff out. But so what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to first focus on getting that underscore C underscore because it's distinctive in the entire name, and so I want to match to that. Now, when I create the filter, maybe the next time I use this program, it's not a C, maybe it's a D volume or an E volume instead. And so instead of just using a capital C here, I'm going to use a regular expression. And with the brackets saying, hey, right now I'm interested in one character, and that character would be A to Z. It could be lowercase, or it could be A to Z uppercase. And I could leave it there, but I'm going to go ahead and add the underscore portion of this. Also, I'm going to test. We should see it match to, yes, underscore C underscore. And it's a little messy. We want to get rid of these underscores, and this is what the refining pattern allows you to do. Now when we match using this block, it's only going to look at what we've matched to. So it's underscore C underscore. And all I want this time is A to Z lowercase, because someone may name it in a lowercase convention at some point. A to Z uppercase, someone else may use uppercase. And I'm leaving off the underscores this time because I don't want to match to them. And when I hit test, you should see the underscores are dropped out this time, and we've only matched to the C volume, so we are doing great, folks. Hang in there. The last thing we want to create in this case is we want to create a file sentry. Now, file sentry, if you're not familiar with it, the file sentry, think of it as your little guardian that's watching for these backup files to be created on a regular basis defined by you. Maybe it's daily, maybe it's hourly, whatever it is, it needs to know what am I looking for and how often should I find it. That's what the file sentry does. We're going to create it. It works in a similar fashion as the filter. I'm going to name this again, just intuitively the same or consistently the same. 2020, I know all these things tie together, and I'll call this file sentry. I will not use the grace period set on the warehouse server. I want it set for 48 hours by default. I would prefer this to be, less than 48 hours because it's a local copy that I'm looking at. I want to know I got a backup every day, so I picked 1 day. I could alternatively go to the warehouse server itself and change that server grace period to 1 day. And by doing that, any backups that are housed on that server would then have a grace period of 1 day. When it's to this scenario where it's a hybrid for itself, you pick or choose. There's 10 ways to skin a cat or 100 ways to skin a cat, whatever the saying is. But whatever works for your particular workflow is fine. The file frequency identifier, we're going to call the file daily. And Acronis is another one of these that doesn't really have anything in the file name that I can pick out. I like to reference Stagecraft because they do such a great job with their file names, being able to pick out identifiers in it. A lot of backup software does not. So I need to pick something consistent between these images that I'm looking for. And after becoming a little more familiar with the Acronis True Image, I know that it drops all these files in the root folder that I had designated, and they're always a .tibx. I am just going to match I'm just going to match the extension. And I know anytime I see a new TIBX file in here, if there's a new one each day, I've got a new backup each day. We'll test and make sure it found that and there's no surprises. We did match successfully, so I'll create the file sentry. We are really doing great, folks. We have added this server. We have went through the designer and quickly added a Acronis True Image. We forgot to add the path. So let's come back. We'll add the path in here. If you've watched any of my videos by now, you know I'm emphatic on you should copy and paste your path out. It is a bad idea to type this in. You could have a typo, you could have a double space, transpose, whatever it is, but man, when you get it wrong, you will be hunting ghosts for a little while trying to figure it out. So what I've done here is I've copied the path in right off of the server, the program name. I just selected it, so I know this folder is managed by this program that we created, and that the server that we are doing this on is called Artemis 10. This is not an offsite copy, and we did with this Acronis, we did create a filter which allowed us to pull out and extract the volume name. So I'm going to leave this checked. You know, with those filters, it just gives you a little more detail on what the backups include. And, you know, you may have one job that's the C volume and may have a second job that's an E volume. And by creating a filter that extracts that, when you look at your images and that kind of thing, you'll see that the volumes are included in those. So we now have a path, and let's try this again. Hey, look at that. It knew it had a path that it should look at, and it knew it was tied to this Acronis True Image program that we created. With this being for Artemis Company, we should see the Artemis Company, the total for Artemis Company increase. We should also see Artemis 10 appear in this list. This list shows the top 10 for each of these, and we're getting there. We've only got a few servers in our demo environment, but we'll be right back and check on this. And we're back now to check on the Artemis 10 we had set up with new backups, and we want to make sure that it's actually pushed the data to the portal. It looked like it did when we kicked it off. And by the way, it's not necessary to kick that collection off. It will run on its own. I'm just kind of pushing things along here to create the video, so don't feel like you ever need to do that, but you have the option, of course. If you want to, you can. So we've done all that. I've given it time to process in the background. I'm going to refresh this page. We should see Artemis 10 show up on our dashboard here, and our billable figures will increase for the Artemis Company, our overall billable storage, and we should see Artemis 10 show up in those bottom two graphs as well. So let's see what we've got. Okay, everything looks fantastic. We are having just an awesome day getting all these backups set up, and I hope you've been learning a lot along the way. I think we covered a lot of great ground today. Thanks for being with us. This is Chris with Velocity Labs signing off. Have a great day.